What's up, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Vinyl, where we take a look at some of your favorite classic records, lost classics, and in this case, live albums. And this time, I'm going to start right at the top with one of my favorite live albums of all time, and that would be Kiss Alive. Came out on September 10th, 1975. Was pulled from performances in Detroit, Davenport, Iowa, Cleveland, Ohio, and Wildwood, New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. The material was mostly pulled from their first three albums. That would be 1974's Kiss, 1974's Hotter Than Hell, and 1975's Dress to Kill. What can I say about this album that hasn't been said a million times? This is one of the most important live albums in history. In my opinion, really ramped up the run of classic 70s live albums. I mean, you did have Made in Japan from Deep Purple and some other ones before that we'll get to in future episodes. But this album right here really set off the fire of live albums. And in my opinion, you know, without this album, you might not have had Frampton Comes Alive the next year, or Aerosmith Live Bootleg a couple of years later, or Leonard Skinner's One More from the Road. All live albums we'll cover in future episodes of Inside the Vinyl. But I wanted to focus on Kiss Alive today, not only because it's one of my favorite live albums of all time, but because if you see behind me, you see this cool pseudo-platinum record on the wall, and that is what I refer to as my platinum record on a budget, right? Kiss being the masters of marketing that they are, you can actually go out and get a personalized gold record for pretty much anything of their 70s and early 80s output, but they're about $270 to $300 a piece, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't have that kind of money to be able to afford something like that, so I had a better idea. They also sell puzzles of all those classic records, and you can get the puzzle for about $40, and you can get this frame and some Mod Podge or whatever it's called at Michael's for about $20, $25 more. So for close $65, $70, I have a cool replica of a platinum record on the wall. At least I hope it looks cool. So, you know, that's what I refer to my platinum album on a budget. So that's pretty much what inspired this new wrinkle in my Inside the Vinyl series, where I talk about some live records. So let's talk about the album itself. Again, here we are. This is Kiss Alive. Front cover, pretty iconic. The back of it's pretty iconic as well, with the crowd, which I think that's Cobo Hall. You got the two guys here holding the Kiss poster. And if you look online, these two guys still actually have this Kiss poster that's in this photo right here. So that's pretty cool. Again, this came out in 1975. It culminates, it's made up of songs from the first two records I already said. So here is the inside. It's got some notes over here. It's got, you know, Kiss, again, the masters of marketing, want to make sure you know that they have 3 other albums that you can purchase, or at least they did at the time. So we'll come back to this. Let's take a look and see like what we have actually inside. Now, keep in mind, with all of the classic Kiss records in the 70s, pretty much all of them from Alive on had something inside, whether it be a toy, a poster, a sticker, or something like that. Something iconic that made them collectible. All right, so that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at what's in here. All right, so a couple of things. Here's the insert that I was just talking about. And then we're going to pull out record number 1. So this is pretty authentic. This is in the Casablanca Record and Filmworks sleeve here. Now, I don't know that this is like a first run. I'd have to go and look at the book I have outside to see if this is like a first or a second printing or whatever. You know, but this is definitely the sleeve that it came in, because you can see it's more of a kind of aged brownish color as opposed to what I assume was probably more of a white cream color, you know, when it came out. Anyway. Pull out the record. Again, nothing special. You know, I don't know how many, you know, colored records and, you know, blood spattered records and all that were pretty rare back in these days. You know, so this is pretty standard. But this record was in great shape. Nothing too crazy in there. It's just got the Casablanca Records and Filmworks sticker in the middle. And that's what tells me this might be a second printing. But again, I'd have to look in a Goldmine book that I have out in my other room to see if this is a first or second run. So, because I think the original one just said Casablanca Records on it, but I could be wrong about that. But it does have this cool insert. You know, it's just this cool book, or a cool little booklet. It's got a picture of each member. You know, there's Gene, there's Peter. Hopefully I'm putting this in the frame where it can be seen. And then in the middle here, just random collage of different Kiss things, some fire and explosions that are still to this day pretty common at Kiss shows. Um, and then just, random pics from the tour and the shows and whatnot. And then, of course, we have Paul and Ace here. And then just on the back, just another random picture of Kiss in action on stage. So let's talk about a couple things with this record. So sales-wise, it's kind of funny that, I have this platinum record on a budget, as I call it, back here, because this album technically has only been certified gold for 500,000 sales. And of course, being that it's a double album, that really only means it's certified for 250,000 actual units or actual total albums sold, because each one of these counts as 2 units. But I think, and I'm really surprised, Kiss being, the glory hounds that they are, haven't gone back and had their sales audited to get these records properly certified, because in the SoundScan era alone, there's almost 1 million units sold of this album just since 1991. So if you factor in however many millions it might have sold before then, this album probably is somewhere close to the triple or quadruple platinum that Kiss claims it is. So I've always thought that was kind of weird, but apparently they have a lot of other records that are like that too from the 70s that they claim are double and triple platinum, but are only certified at platinum in most cases. The impact of this record. So, this record came out before I was born. I got into Kiss when I was about 13 years old in 1989 when Hot in the Shade came out. And then, of course, based on my love for that record, I went back and started exploring their previous work. Now, I was involved in a church youth group and things like that when I was a kid, and in the 80s was the time when they wanted to tell you that every band that wasn't Christian, that wasn't a Christian rock band, was satanic and they worshiped the devil and talked about hell and everything else. All really ridiculous, looking back on it. And this was one of the bands they featured prominently. So it was weird because when I first got into them, I listened to Hot in the Shade and the stuff they were doing in the late 80s, and I was like, well, this stuff is just, hair band rock, or whatever was going on at the time, which I love, but that, it's like they were just doing what was going on at the time. So, as I reached back, I remember the first time I saw this on cassette, and I picked it up and I looked at the cover, and I was like, that's pretty scary. That must be what they're talking about at church. The songs on here are going to be all like evil and demonic and all this, whatever. And then, so being 13 years old, and, based on all the stuff about the devil and Satan and all that, I picked it up. I was like, I got to hear this. Took it home, put it on, and I've been hooked on Kiss ever since. Musically, couldn't be anything further from the truth. This band is about as straight up, simple rock and roll as it gets. All the classics are on here. It starts with the 1-2 punch of Deuce and Strutter from the debut Kiss record, and also has Got to Choose, Hotter Than Hell, Firehouse. I mean, the list goes on. Parasite, Black Diamond, Rock Bottom, and then of course the number 12 Billboard hit Rock and Roll All Night. So one thing I will say about this record is the songs really, really come alive from the first 3 albums. I think the biggest problem they had with those first 3 records is that Casablanca Records and the producers they had really didn't know how to record, what this band was able to do on stage. They really didn't know how to get that same effect in the studio. So their first record, while great, was a little bit flat. Hotter Than Hell may be one of the most poorly produced records in history, and I may do a show on that at some point about, some of the most, what I deem to be the most poorly produced records in history. And when I do, Hotter Than Hell will be right there, in that list. And then, of course, their third record, Dressed to Kill, which I actually like, but it is a little bit polished and a little bit poppier than their normal sound. But on this live record, the songs are, just given new life. Never mind the audience and the explosions and things going in the background, but the performances are energetic, they're explosive, they're amazing, and really give songs that were kind of okay on, studio records, really just give them new life, and it's just like, wow, just totally blow you away. Now, I know there's a lot of criticism of this record about how live it actually is, and how much of it was doctored up in the studio. And there's shows you can watch about that, like the classic albums series and all that. I don't know. And from what I've read, it seems like most of the live albums in the 70s had a lot of studio doctoring. I've read different things that, you could record the band pretty well and the drums pretty well, but you really couldn't get the vocals recorded. It wasn't easy to record vocals back in those days. So a lot of live albums you hear, the vocals that you hear may have been done in the studio, and there may be some fixes here and there on the record. But I've seen Kiss 7, 8 times, and every time, they've sounded amazing, and they've sounded every bit as awesome as this record is. So even if they fix it up in the studio, I can't imagine it's that much different than it was at the actual show. They just needed to fix some things that maybe the recording didn't pick up. I don't know. But again, just about every live record that I'm going to discuss, that came out in the 70s has some sort of doctoring up in the studio, whether the bands want to admit it or not. Kiss hasn't really, come out, they haven't really denied it, but they haven't really, like, oh yeah, we did all that in the studio or whatever. So, take it for what you will. The recordings on this record are amazing, whether they're studio live or doctored up or whatever they are. This record is one of my favorites of all time. And then here, there's little handwritten notes from each member of the band. And I don't know in today's age of cancel culture and Me Too or whatever that some of these would get by today. Especially Gene's here, talking about wanting to make you writhe and groan in ecstasy. Yada yada yada, and Paul Stanley talking about nothing arouses me more than seeing you getting off on me. Now, of course, that could be taken, as he's writing this to a man or a woman. Who knows? I don't know. But still, I just feel like in today's age, that probably wouldn't get by the record label to be included in this set. But still, funny reads nonetheless. So again, if you go to a vintage record store and you pick yourself up a copy of Kiss Alive, or even if you just go to iTunes and purchase a digital copy there, or get the CD or or wherever, pick this up. This is an amazing record. If you need an introduction to Kiss, where it all started and really what made them the hottest band in the land, Kiss Alive is where it's at. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope to have more shows about live albums coming soon. I am also going to kick up my Lost Classics series. I was a little worried about what direction to go with that because I really didn't want to, do the same thing over and over again, like the same bands and whatever. But, Lost Classics are Lost Classics. So if I have multiple Lost Classics by one band, then so be it. It just gives me more opportunities to make more shows. So look for those coming soon. If you like what you heard, subscribe to my channel. I have other videos, including my previous Lost Classics series, also my unboxing the vinyls, where I open up new albums as well as re-releases and deluxe editions of classic albums. I also have concert footage from Welcome to Rockville, Exit 111, from a day and age where we could still go to concerts. Thank you, coronavirus. And if you're into it, I'm also an avid disc golfer. I'm not a good disc golfer. I'm just an avid disc golfer. And I've got some really mediocre disc golf footage featuring some really mediocre players, myself included. So again, check me out, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you next time. Peace.